We now dive into AI for sustainability. The topic, time for action, reduce, reuse, and rethink, will surely invoke a sense of responsibility in all of us. This session will cover the role of AI in solving the big problem of food wastage, some challenges along the way, and how we can leverage MLDL further to save food wastage. What are some more cutting edge innovations? We have with us this afternoon Marc Zornes, founder, Winnow Limited, with us. Marc started his career at a large wholesale grocers, and food and sustainability has been his two passions ever since. Before Winnow, he co-authored the Global Institute report, Resource Revolution, Meeting the World's Energy, Materials, Food and Water Needs, whilst working as a consultant at McKinsey. The session is moderated by Anantha P Sekar, Global Head, Conversational Experiences, TCS. Anantha specializes in transformational change. He leads the team focused on advanced artificial intelligence topics, including deep learning, responsible AI, conversational AI, document AI, vision AI, and a lot more. It's a pleasure to have you both join us here this afternoon. Over to you, Anantha.
Thank you, Justin. AI is obviously a very powerful, disruptive technology that is fast maturing. But any technology will essentially find traction in the marketplace only if it solves real problems for real people, right? And sustainability is as big as problems come, something that we need to collectively solve. And within that, there is a lot of data that shows that food wastage is a huge issue. Okay, around a third of the food that is produced is apparently wasted. And that contributes so much to the whole of the carbon dioxide, for example, that what the food wastage creates by way of carbon dioxide released into the planet is many times what the airline as an industry, for example, does. Okay, so if AI can help with the food wastage problem, obviously, AI is likely to have a good future, and more importantly, planet and all of us are going to have a good future. When we think about it, there are opportunities for intervention, AI interventions, both in the farmers, with the manufacturers, with the distributors, retailers, commercial kitchens, or homes, any of them. Right. And there are four key capabilities that come to mind when we talk about how AI can help with food wastage as a problem. One is the vision and multimodal capability. We have an ability to create tons of new data that we can now process and absorb in our solutions. The second is predictive capability. We are able to say when a food is going to go bad, how fast it's going to ripen, etc. So we are able to judge that. So the predictive capability of AI comes into fore. The third is the real-time decisioning for behavioral interventions like dynamic pricing, maybe, or if you're talking about a kitchen contest, maybe you can offer discounts to specific dishes and so on and so forth. And the fourth is the feedback loop, which is the hyper-personalized interventions that we can deliver multimodally through voice or vision or any means available, targeted to specific individual and backed by essentially fairly serious analytics and data visualization. In this context, I'm excited to be talking today to Marc Zornes, who is the co-founder of Winnow. While I operate in AI across all industries and all segments, Marc is very specifically focused on essentially leveraging AI and other technologies towards preventing food wastage. Welcome to the program, Marc. And I would like to start with something that caught my eye. In your website, you say you're positive about people and planet. Okay. That's fairly sweeping statement. I just wanted to understand a little bit more about.
Anantha, thanks for that. And I actually really just want to start by saying that I think that your framing of the issues of artificial intelligence and the 4 points by which it can bring value is a really nice context by which to kind of think about what we do. As you said, about a third of all food is wasted. In the world where we sit right now with food prices at a level which is higher in the UN FAO Food Price Index than it has been since the beginning of when that index started. And the need for our food system to meet the increased demand of more people coming into higher resource consumptive diets, more people entering the world in the context of the weather pattern changes that we are seeing, really reinventing our food system to be able to sustainably feed the population for decades and centuries to come is one of the great challenges that we face at this time. And food waste, when you're throwing away a third of all food that you grow, not being eaten, is one of those untapped opportunities that is just a no-brainer. Beyond increasing yields, beyond shifting diets, reducing food waste is sort of a must from both a feeding people, but also from a sustainability perspective as well. What we know is that kitchens, unfortunately, throw away anywhere between about 8 to 20% of what they buy, which is pretty substantial if you think about it. In a context of an industry that is facing a lot of challenges around profitability, is generally sort of lower margin in terms of net margins, and is right now facing increasing food costs, preventing food waste is coming up the priority for a lot of organizations. And there have been more organizations that are publicly making commitments around food waste prevention, including groups like IKEA, like Hilton, Marriott, and sort of many other out there that are in the business of food in one way or another. Winnow really sort of starts by recognizing that one of the challenges with getting kitchens to be run in the most effective way and sustainable way possible is actually getting data around what's happening in a kitchen. And this idea of how AI can bring multimodal or sort of new data collection into the world that wasn't previously possible is really one of the key things that we unlock. So Winnow is a technology that uses computer vision. We basically put cameras over bins and we put a scale underneath the bin as staff throw food away in the kitchen. Then we take photos of that. We use computer vision models to identify what it is that's being thrown away. And we collect data in a place where generally data was absent. Now, some of these kitchens are trying to record food waste by pen and paper or doing audits. But in any production system, having real-time data around what's actually happening unlocks a brand new way of actually driving change. And then what we also do is we take that data and we feed it back to chefs to be able to provide better personalized and better real-time decisions on how they prepare food, how much should be prepared, and what customers want. And by doing that, by understanding what's being wasted, and by providing data back to chefs to help them understand what are the small but very important changes that I can make in reducing food waste, I can actually help them, or we can help them, cut food waste by about 50%, between 40 to 70% by value. And today, in thousands of kitchens around the world, Winnow is currently saving our customers about $40 million per year in food waste from occurring. Now, that's a pretty substantial impact that we're having with our customers, but it's honestly, unfortunately, just a drop in the bucket of the scale of what we're trying to achieve. Our ambition is in the next few years to save our customers $1 billion a year of food from being thrown away. And we believe that's possible, frankly, within the industries that we've already proven this to work, and really believe that we have a sort of powerful tool to help run kitchens in a more sustainable and cost-efficient way that they previously have not had in the past.
That's stunning, Mark, in terms of the numbers that you are quoting, that you have already managed to get to 40 million per year in terms of what you're able to save. If I understand correctly, this is basically just the commercial kitchens, right? So what are we talking about in terms of kitchens? I mean, most of us would have gone to a restaurant and seen a kitchen or canteens. But my understanding is that you probably have a broader segment of customers you look at than that.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Within the supply chain, I guess, first of all, to understand where food waste happens, right? And food waste happens in lots of different places across the supply chain. But generally, you can find that in advanced economies, that what happens is that food is grown, Unfortunately, not all food is sort of fully harvested and utilized. There's a fairly efficient supply chain, but then a lot of waste happens at the points of consumption, both sort of in homes and in consumer face. Less advanced or sort of had less mature supply chains, you tend to actually have more waste as well, actually across the supply chain. And so there's an opportunity there. The biggest area where Winnow focuses is in consumer facing businesses. And specifically what that is we work in hotels and resorts. So any hotel you might go to, we have, for example, Novotel, Sofitel, Pullman, sort of the core properties in India that sort of use Winnow. One of our big customers is IKEA. So we also work in quick service operations. We work in what we call contract catering, which is staff restaurants, schools, universities, and hospitals, as well as we work in mega food operations like casinos and cruise lines, also airline caterers, anywhere where you actually spend a lot of money on food. And I think the biggest factor for us is when you spend more than 250,000 US dollars a year on food. And let's just make it simple. Let's say that you are wasting 10% of what you buy, which would be relatively average for what we see, maybe a little bit below average or better than average. That's a $25,000 a year problem in terms of food waste prevention. And if we can help you cut that in half, then we can provide meaningful savings to that operation, as well as making it more sustainable at the same time. Globally, we work in about 50 different countries. Brands we work with are some of the names I mentioned, like IKEA and Hilton, as well as Marriott and Accor, Intercontinental Hotel Group, Compass Group, and many, many others.
That's a fairly impressive client list, Mark. Congratulations on that. And the question for me would be how are you able to do this? I mean, what is the secret sauce in terms of being able to do that? You mentioned that ultimately you're translating it to your financial goal. You're a business, so you have to measure success and the value you deliver to customers in dollar terms. But if you take a sustainability kind of lens to it, and see, like if you take the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we talk about Goal 12, and we'll talk about all kind of parameters there. So businesses tend to develop their own KPIs, legal act metrics, other than financial metrics to track what value can be delivered. So how do you measure your success at an operational level rather than business level?
Yeah. So really the way that we do what we do is every single time somebody throws something away where the Winnow system is used, we're able to create a record of what was thrown away with a photo and an identification of what that product was. That then there is a process by which a whole team by which we review that data, we curate that data, and then we use that data to retrain our computer vision models to improve them. And so effectively, there are some network effects here. The more customers using our technology, the more data we get, the better our models become, and the more sort of insightful we become with the customers that we work with. Of course, it's not all that easy. I think that, in some ways, when artificial intelligence works, it's magic, but anyone who has actually worked to develop artificial intelligence realize that there is an incredible amount of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making these effectively quite powerful, but sort of non-deterministic systems work. They're more probabilistic systems and kind of how they come through. We measure success in our business off of one key metric, which is how much money we are saving our clients. That and the reason we choose that is because it's pretty easy to get a dollar value on product or on sort of any product that we have. When someone throws away a banana peel, we don't put a dollar value on it. When somebody throws away an uneaten, half uneaten sort of salmon steak, we actually know how much that cost them, and we can put a cost on that. It's very closely correlated with the environmental impacts of that product, but it also speaks to multiple aspects in our customers that are already there to help drive change. So businesses want to track profitability. Yeah. They want to do the right thing sustainably. but they're really only willing to invest in technologies and scale if there's a strong return on investment. So you kind of think of the environmental, the sort of sustainable aspect of what we do as our reason for being, our main door into why we want to help companies do what they do. But it's the financial returns on what we do that allows us to deliver that change at scale. And you really have to get both right to be able to make it work. Externally, some of our customers look at the amounts of waste per person that goes through the building. That's a pretty easy metric to understand. But then internally, they're actually looking at it straight on their profit and loss statement. So I spent $250,000 a year on food. It's magical to then have, I spent $25,000 of that 250 literally throwing food away. And then that raises questions about what can we do to actually drive that number down and actually either take that money and reinvest it into the quality of the product, into better paying staff, or into making the business more profitable in the long term.
So the money goes straight off into the bottom line. So effectively, they can see why they are investing in the technology. You commented that you're present in something like 50 countries. The kind of dishes then that you will have to cover, which means the kind of waste that you will have to track and train your models on. Is it kind of specific to the type of food and so on, or how does it work?
Yeah, so this is sort of part of our secret sauce and is kind of in the recipe box that I can't share everything on. But what I can say is that we are able to effectively identify waste into a very, very, very large number of different categories of what that is. And it can get down as specific as scrambled eggs, so to speak, right? Or a specific dish. The more data we have on an item, the more granular we can be. And we are always looking as we gather more data to drive up that granularity in areas where items look very, very visually similar and we have less data. Those items tend to be a little bit more generic, but I suppose the good side of that is items that are frequently wasted in kitchens, we have a lot of data on. And so we tend to be very specific on the stuff that matters, where maybe the more sort of rare item that's wasted, it may be a little bit less specific. I think really what enables this for us is the team that we have, and Winnow is over 100 people globally. We probably have in total about 20 people dedicated to curating our data, making our models better, and deploying our models on the field, and kind of getting the edge services to work. And it's really that team's processes that allow us to have this model of continuous improvement with our tools and our technology, meaning that the longer customers use our technology and the more customers we go into, the better the product gets.
Thanks for that, Mark. Thanks for sharing that insight. And I do understand the commercial sensitivity, but you got fairly powerful and you have a clarity of vision in terms of saying reinventing food systems, and it's very promising to see you so tightly focused on delivering financial value to every single customer intervention you get involved with. So that's what this technology needs at this point of time. As somebody who is passionate about AI, for me, it's absolutely a no-brainer to see the AI-based interventions, especially vision-based interventions in the food wastage side. And talking through, I'm absolutely convinced that the business case is there. There are quite a few big names that you have shared in terms of people who have already adopted this kind of technology and the kind of challenges that come into that. I hope the audience take away from this that the message that this technology is real, the opportunity is real, the opportunity to make a difference to the planet and people is real. Thank you very much for that, Mark, and thanks everybody for listening. Over to you, Justin.
Thank you, Anantha and Mark, for that engaging session.